Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 365. My name is Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Just living in this world.
Yeah.
Just doing what we can. This week on the show, we'll be taking a look at Josh Trank's Capone. We'll also be going over someone watching on the watch list and new releases on VOD and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be super helpful. A couple of housekeeping things. There will be no Ryan Watches a Movie this week. He was unable to record, but we hope to be back with that next week. Fingers crossed. And we are recording a new episode of Saved by the 90s this week. That should be coming out, we'll say next week, but stay tuned. I'll send out an announcement about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a video that comes with that, like a supplementary video that I'm working on that will come out with the new Saved by the 90s. We're doing TV adaptations, just to give you guys a little spoiler as to the lineup. So we're doing the Flintstones movie. We're doing We're doing Casper. We're doing Mission Impossible, and we're doing Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Yeah, these were all released in May throughout the decade, and as a bonus, now the Flipper movie starring Elijah Wood, that also came out in May. However, it's more so a remake of the original Flipper movie from 1963, so we didn't count that, but just because we didn't want to completely forget about Flipper, we're going to be talking about The New Adventures of Flipper, which was a TV series from 1995.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. I just got done watching that show, and it is very 90s. It is very much a 1995, or maybe it was 94, 95 show, like 100%. Early role for Jessica Alba. She was one of the main characters in that. When she was going by,
Gotcha.
She was going by Jessica Marie Alba.
Gotcha.
Let's get into this review. So Capone, as I mentioned, is written and directed by Josh Trank. This came out on VOD on Tuesday, I believe, last Tuesday. I have a synopsis here. The 47-year-old Al Capone, after 10 years in prison, starts suffering from dementia and comes to be haunted by his violent past. This one is a bit of a doozy. Now, I think you and I both kind of had an idea of what this movie was, right? I know I did.
Yeah.
Because there were some rumblings on Twitter about this movie. So when I heard these rumblings, I was like, you know what? I think I got to check this thing out. So we had talked about it, and we're like, you know what? This is the one. So Kevin, why don't you start us off? What were your initial impressions of Capone?
This is something else. But it's also, unfortunately, one of those movies that it's not just batshit insane. Like, it is to a certain extent, but like, it doesn't take it far enough. And for the most part, on the surface and just everything that's there, it's just, oh man, just not worthwhile at all. It's just very standard filmmaking, extremely boring.
I found it to be excruciatingly dull at times. Like,
yes.
So this is, as the synopsis says, it exhibits, it's the final year of Al Capone's life. And you have Tom Hardy playing Al Capone. And by this point, he's completely gone mentally. He had apparently contracted syphilis when he was like 15 years old, and it went completely untreated. So it turned his brain into mush. And I also read, I don't know if they talked about this in the movie, that he was being treated for his syphilis when he was in Alcatraz, and they were injecting him with mercury to treat his syphilis. So, that probably made him go insane also. So it was like, there were multiple things happening here. Now he also has a stroke in this too. Yeah. So, I mean, his brain is just completely gone. So I think the problem is the bulk of the movie is just him sitting around, grunting, shitting his pants, and there's not enough substance here. You know, it says here he comes to be haunted by his violent past, and that's kind of true, but it doesn't really say anything. You know, like it's not like a tale of him asking for redemption or him being punished for his crimes or anything like that. It's just this really slow moving, depressing tale of this man's final moments on Earth. And I just don't think there's enough here.
No, and the thing that irritates me about this approach is, one, okay, it's interesting enough that you're going to do this kind of subversive take where you take someone that's like probably the biggest like archetype of a gangster in films, right? Pretty much all gangster movies are based off Al Capone.
Right.
A certain, you know, like time period. And even ones in the present day or, you know, whatever, it's still like loosely based on Al Capone. You're kind of using him as the blueprint, right? So here you're taking that and you're like, well, we're not actually going to do a gangster movie. We're going to do the last year of his life when syphilis has completely eaten his brain. That's what we're doing. So you're like, oh, okay. So it's not going to be a gangster movie. I see what you're doing. You know, you're taking this guy that's, you know, bigger than life, all these movies made about him, and you're going to show him like, you know, what eventually happened to him in the final year of his life, you know, where he was completely rendered, you know, into nothing essentially. But then the whole, you know, being haunted by his past just feels like an excuse to be like, oh, let's put in gangster stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you have, there are like shootouts and stuff in this movie. There is violence in this movie. There's not much, but it is here.
Yeah. And it's all like either, you know, flashbacks or him like walking through his memories or just like completely fabricated things, which that was another thing that got me, because there's a certain thing that's introduced early on, which when you look back on it, it's very odd the way that it's introduced. And then you come to find that this person's not actually there. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any
sense.
sense. It doesn't make any sense because when that character is introduced, it's completely separate from Al Capone. So why would we get that kind of character introduction to someone who is not real? Like that to me, I was like, why? Like what's the point of that?
And this I guess is kind of spoilery, so you can cut this if you want. But the fact of like the way we're introduced this person is through a sex scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like why? Like there's ghost sex. Why?
I don't know.
And how's the whole boat thing happen?
Right.
I don't get that. Wait, and what's the point of the boat thing outside of him just being like, I hid money? Like you couldn't have figured another, was that just an excuse for him to shoot an alligator?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the other, so his mind has been ravaged. He is not coherent at all. He has his faculties are completely gone. And the other side of this movie is that they're trying to figure out where he hid all his money, because at his peak, Al Capone was making $100 million a year. And because he was paranoid and he didn't have anything to do with like all this money that was flowing in, he would hide it. He would bury it. He would keep it in safety deposit boxes around the world, like in Cuba and stuff like that. And after he got dementia, he couldn't remember where he put any of the money, and nobody was able to get it out of him. So that's like a big, to this day, that's a huge mystery. No one ever recovered his millions and millions of dollars. But I didn't think that was a big plot point in this either. Like they allude to it quite a bit, but they never really dive into the whole money thing. I mean, it's always sort of on the back burner, but they never really do anything with it.
They don't really do anything with anything. Let's be honest.
No.
There's nothing. And then, you know, there's another like completely fabricated, I guess, hell, I don't know what the hell you would want to call it. Like dream sequence, but it's like what's going on in his mind when he's like tapped out from a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
which is just an excuse for him to walk around with a gold-plated Tommy gun.
Yeah.
Which just, it feels like it goes against what the point of the movie, or at least what I thought the point of the movie was. Like the only interesting angle of this movie.
It's
Was,
funny.
to not make it a gangster movie, but then you just keep coming up with excuses to just completely fabricate gangster scenarios.
It's funny that this movie comes out so close to The Irishman, because I think that The Irishman had similar themes in that that movie takes us through the career of a gangster from beginning to end, essentially, and we see what a life in that business does to someone, and how it alienates them, and how they end up they're left with essentially nothing, and all of it was for naught, And I think that in Scorsese's movie, it deals with that topic in a much better way than Capone. I appreciate what they were going for with this movie. I mean, from what I understand, this was sort of a passion project for Josh Trank, and I'm happy that he was able to see his vision, come to fruition. It didn't necessarily work for me, but I think that there are some interesting things held within this movie. I thought that some of the sequences were pretty effective visually. I particularly liked the scene when he is in the water and the alligator's like right between his legs. I thought that looked really cool.
No, thank you. No, thanks. I didn't like anything about this movie.
I thought
all of it was just extremely dull and just filmmaking.
I agree for the most part, but I thought there were some okay visual cues. The editing I thought was a little wonky, particularly like conversations and how they would cut during conversations. I thought was a little too frenetic. Like it felt almost sloppy to me.
Yeah, they do some of the, maybe that's the issue here, because I didn't realize that Trank did the editing himself. Probably ill-advised.
Oh, I didn't know he did that either, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. Probably should have went to an actual editor.
Like the reverse shot stuff, I didn't think looked great.
It reminded me a little bit of the viral videos of the Bohemian Rhapsody. Like not as bad, obviously,
yeah.
but there was a couple of scenes where it's just like back forth.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, not as bad as Bohemian Rhapsody, but still, it was still noticeable for me. Where I was just like, ugh. Like I'm pretty susceptible to a lot of quick cuts to begin with. I don't like a lot of cuts in movies, so it was bothersome to me. Now I think that we should also mention that LP does the score for this movie, such as it is, and it was funny because you sent me a message and you were like, was there even music in this? And I'm like, you know what? I didn't notice anything in this as far as music. Like, I'm just not sure.
The only thing that I can tell is there's 2 songs on the end credits that are his. And both of them are fantastic, especially the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible. But I didn't, you can be credited for a score if you only do, because he did that for Fantastic Four. He did the credits music or whatever. And I was just kind of expecting something, throughout the movie, but.
Is he credited as
I don't think he is.
I gotta look this up, because if it says LP under composer for Fantastic Four. Oh, okay, no. I was gonna say
he just did the song, that plays over the credits. That he wasn't, it wasn't a score thing. But then that's pretty much what Capone is. But yet he gets the original score. I'm just like, did I miss something? Because I pretty early on I was like, okay, this movie is not for me at all. I'm gonna try and focus in on this score because that should be good. But again, I don't know if I just completely missed it, but I didn't really hear anything outside of the credits.
No, I didn't notice anything as far as the music goes. I mean, I think that maybe the one thing that most people probably gravitate towards when talking about this movie is Tom Hardy's performance as Al Capone. Now, on this show, we've talked before about Tom Hardy's ability to effectively grunt and make a lot of guttural noises, and he is in rare form in this movie. Absolutely rare form.
Yeah, you put this in the pantheon of performances in the vein of like Welcome to New York with Gerard Depardieu.
Yeah.
You know, his performance. And what was the other one? I can't remember the title.
What was the Tom Hardy movie that we talked about, his grunting?
I'm not sure, but the other movie that I'm thinking of is Mr. Turner with Timothy Spall's grunting.
Oh, yeah.
You know, him playing W. Turner.
Yeah.
And just kind of grunting and, you know, clearing his throat, making a lot of guttural noises and whatnot. But yeah, it seems like Tom Hardy's doing a lot of relying on the grunting work. And that's all it is here. And it's not a lot, though, either, really. Like, he's not really doing a whole lot in this movie.
Not really. Just a lot of, like, sitting and staring, holding that, puffing on that cigar, and then later the carrot, and just kind of hanging out there.
No thanks.
Yeah, it's I would say it's an interesting concept for a movie, but unfortunately it's one that doesn't necessarily work for me. Maybe if they trimmed it down a little bit, but even then, like, all of the gangster stuff in it, I mean, I imagine that they included that just to liven it up a bit, but because you know that all of this is like just fantasy, like in his head, it all feels very pointless. And as you said before, it goes against sort of the whole ethos of the movie.
Yeah, it's like it's completely antithetical of what the movie was going for. I'm just kind of confused as to what this is supposed to be.
Do you think it would have worked better if a lot of it was set in like flashback, where he's like sitting there thinking about, you know, where these memories that come flooding back, and they're more so presented in a flashback style?
I have no idea. I don't know if this works anyway.
anyway, shape or form. You look at this.
Like, I don't know who is, and especially in terms of if you're looking at a movie where you're saying, okay, I'm going to do the main character has a syphilitic mind, right? Just completely ravaged, right? I don't think you can make that movie in conventional filmmaking terms. Like, it has to be experimental.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, his brain's dead. It's just mush.
So do you think that was maybe part of the problem, where the surreal moments in this weren't numerous enough, and maybe you weren't surreal enough?
Perhaps. I think it's just ill-advised to base, you know, your main character has a syphilitic mind, because I don't think any of us know what that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he probably doesn't even have memories. He's not going to have flashbacks of shootouts and shit.
That's true.
He's just gone.
He's just gone.
He's got giant holes in his brain.
Yeah. Oh boy, Al Capone. What a character. All right, let's give this thing a score. What are you giving Capone out of 10?
I want to say, in terms of like getting this movie financed and getting people attached to it, where it's Capone with a syphilitic mind, it's a 10. So, like, that's insane. How did you do that? But like, as an actual movie, it's like a 3 or 2.
Yeah, I'm sitting in around a 3.5 on this.
And it's also mind blowing to me, the kind of storyline where it's like Josh Trank is trying to come back, and it's like, how did he get this as his vehicle to come back? Like, is he really that far gone? Like, it's a movie with Tom Hardy about Al Capone. Like, I'm pretty sure he didn't have trouble getting funding, and he should have trouble.
You mean just because of his previous work, or because of this script and the concept of this movie?
It's a couple. Yeah, it's like both of those things, to together.
I mean,
It's just insane to me.
I feel bad for Josh Trank in some regards, because I feel like, he had a hit with Chronicle, and Chronicle was a great movie. I still stand by that movie as being something unique and quite good. But then he after Chronicle, and by the way, there's an article, I can't remember what site, maybe Polygon, that was written by Matt Patches, and it's this like really detailed sort of account of Josh Trank's career, because Matt Patches, I guess, followed him like for years and years, and it's really, really fascinating to see like what happened in his career. And after Chronicle, that movie was a hit that had a very low budget and made a shitload of money. And he had the opportunity to do pretty much whatever he wanted as far as like big Hollywood movies. I mean, he was being approached by Disney to do a Star Wars movie, and he chose Fantastic Four, and evidently the movie that he made is not the movie that everybody saw. There was some version of it, director's cut or whatever, that was his own thing, and then the studio got involved and made it what it was. I don't think I ever saw the 2015 Fantastic Four, but everybody thought that was it for him. Like, that was the end of his career. But 5 years later, he's back with this passion project of his.
He's back with his passion project, and I'm going off of Wikipedia, which I can take that with a grain of salt. The budget of this movie is $20.6 million. Like, I don't think you have to worry about like a quote unquote comeback for Josh Trank. Like, he's still able to make a movie with $20.5 million budget.
Right. It's not
Tom Hardy. He's still pulling start. Like, it's not. He's not doing that bad.
Like, it's not necessarily a comeback because he never left.
Yeah,
like, it's not like he was blacklisted or anything.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me that you have, actually talented filmmakers out there that do disappear and don't get opportunities, not even close to $20.5 million, big budget things, and they're just forgotten about.
Most of them
and
women.
Then he'll come out with, most of them women were minority filmmakers, and then he comes out with this with Tom Hardy starring, $20.6 million budget, and people are like, oh, if only. Hopefully this works out for Josh Trank and he finally get back on track. But he never went anywhere. He went from Fantastic Four to this. Come on.
Yeah. And to be clear, Josh Trank has nothing to do with the fact that like female and minority directors don't get the same level of, acceptance and, retries in the industry. It has nothing to do with him. And frankly, like, I hope that Josh Trank does have a career. I don't want to, wish a failing career on anybody.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that. And it's not Josh Trank's fault that, that was a storyline that was going with this movie. It's like, oh, come back. The comeback kid. He has no control over that. It's such an odd, storyline to go with media-wise.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I would recommend reading that article from Matt Patches. It's really, really fascinating, very in depth.
I'm gonna have to read that because I'm just interested in it. So you have, like you said, kind of unlimited opportunities. Why would you pick Fantastic Four?
He thought that would be sort of the most interesting because it was like sort of rebooting this property that was laying dormant for several years, and unfortunately it didn't work. All right, that is Capone. Let's move on and talk about someone watching. I think it's my turn this week. I'm pretty sure it is. I don't have a whole lot. We took last week off, so but really I only have a few things. The first thing that I'll mention is Gretel and Hansel. This is the horror movie that came out earlier this year, directed by Oz Perkins. And, it's sort of sort of cashing in on the recent trend of this kind of folk horror that we've been seeing with movies like The Witch being successful. And this movie's like, it's like The Witch, but for a mainstream audience. That's sort of what we're working with here. Visuals, some very striking visuals in this, and that's really all I can say about it. Like, there's some good visuals in here, but the movie itself was a bit bland for me. Like, I was just not really on board so much. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a kind of a spin on the fairy tale, but it's not. I mean, it pretty much follows the classic tale beat by beat. And I guess as a result, I found it to be a little bit lackluster. Sophia Lillis she plays the lead as Gretel. You'll remember her from the It movies. She's really good in it. And there's a couple fun little twists that happen, but overall it's nowhere near as like atmospheric and sort of disturbing as something like The Witch, but I don't know. Middle of the road for me. Gretel and Hansel, middle of the road.
Well, they switched up the names, you see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the twist. I got to see Cane River, 1982.
Oh,
Pete Jenkins.
Yeah, I know you were excited about this one.
I was, and it's part of the May films on Criterion Channel. This is one of them. So this got a remaster recently. Oscilloscope up on Criterion Channel now. You can watch it. This is unfortunately, the only movie that Horace B. Jenkins directed. He passed away like a little bit after this movie was finished. And it's set entirely in Louisiana. And it's kind of this romantic drama, but it's very, very different in terms of like a romance movie. It's very mature. It's not sappy. It's not sentimental. It's just there's fantastic chemistry between the two leads. Tommy Myrick, who plays Maria, and Richard Romaine, who plays Peter. And he's a Creole, so there has this underlying tension to it. It's him being a Creole, her being black. So they're at odds with the family histories in Louisiana. And so like her family doesn't want him to be around. She can't see him, that type of thing. And it's a really sweet movie. And it just really works. It looks phenomenal. I mean, it's Louisiana. The locations are fantastic. Had this, realism aspect to it, camera work wise, especially when they go into like New Orleans. I mean, it's a good time. 90 minutes. You're just enjoying yourself. It's a pleasure.
Nice. And that's
I mean, the chemistry between the two. It's just fun watching them. And it's hard not to root for them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And that's Cane River. That is on Criterion Channel, and that is a remastered version. Did you mention that? I can't remember if you said that at the top, but that is a newly remastered version.
Yeah, newly remastered. I don't think it was ever released, honestly.
Oh, you know what?
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I think you're correct in that. I remember reading that.
It's unfortunate. It's a really good movie.
Check that out. I saw Brain Damage from 1988. This is directed by Frank Henenlotter. Never saw this movie. Believe it or not. And this played on Last Drive-In last week. And so got a chance to check this one out. Now, I am very familiar with Frank Henenlotter's filmography. In fact, I saw all of his narrative features, and I saw all but, I think, one of his documentaries. So I'm very, very familiar with Frank Henenlotter. I'm a pretty big fan of his. And Brain Damage for me is probably my second favorite of his movies. I think Frankenhooker is still probably number one, just because Frankenhooker is so much fun. And Brain Damage is about, it's sort of an allegory for drug addiction in New York City during the 80s. And it's about this guy who has this sort of parasite It's almost like it's like a little creature with a external brain that attaches to him, and it has this little like needle thing that comes out of its mouth, and it can inject your brain with this chemical and cause these like sort of euphoric hallucinogenic effects. And he becomes addicted to this creature's brain juice, and the creature needs to eat other people's brains to sustain itself. The effects work is, not great, but still very fun. And it's a pretty good movie. Lots of New York grime, 80s New York grime in this. So I really appreciated that about it too. So yeah, can definitely recommend checking out Brain Damage.
With you being almost a completist with his work, have you seen the music video that he directed for R.A. the Rugged Man?
No, I saw the movie, the Bad Biology movie, which was, I think, written by R.A. the Rugged Man. Does it have...
Oh, for real?
Was it tied into that movie, maybe?
Maybe. Perhaps.
Yeah. There's this movie called Bad Biology. It came out in 2008, and it was about... It was really bad, man. Just this weird sex movie, and it was just... I remember it being really awful.
Apparently, it's not a part of the movie's soundtrack, but I just checked out the movie's soundtrack, and it's interesting.
I know.
Sure does the song with
yeah.
The lead actress.
It's
interesting.
Yeah.
Is that mind trip?
Mm-hmm. Vinny Paz is in the movie, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Wow, incredible.
R.A. the Rugged Man is in the movie too.
Oh boy,
it's
interesting.
I would not recommend it. Even if the soundtrack might be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll check that out. No, don't. Trust me.
I'll look up the songs on YouTube. I'll find them.
Yeah.
If I want to hear them. I watched on Connect Media, Kurt Walker's latest, kind of like a hybrid documentary narrative thing going on here. S01E03, which I guess would be season 1, episode 3. But I don't know how you say it. Okay. I've never heard anyone say it. So it's this like a virtual love story set in Vancouver, New York, and then the online world of the Final Fantasy online game. I forget which one that was, where it was just the massive online world that they had. So it's in the dying days of that. So it's this like group of friends that like always, got together within Final Fantasy. So there's a lot of Final Fantasy gameplay in there, and it's before like the servers are shut down. So there's throughout the movie, there's kind of this like countdown of when the servers are going to go offline, and then game's gone. So a lot of it is like what are they going to do once the game's gone? Should they meet up in real life? That type of thing. And then it's intercut with stuff in Vancouver, stuff in New York, them hanging out, all their friends and stuff like that. And it's a lot like his first movie, Hit to Pass, which kind of was this what seemed like very small like documentary, but kind of like opened up layers and layers and layers and kind of shown this like strong sense of community. And it's pretty much what's going on here in this movie too. And a lot of great imagery, a lot of great like experimental work going on, great music. And like the interesting thing is at the end, the end credits is just like everyone that worked on the movie or was in the movie. It's just kind of like still shots, or the camera's rolling and it's just them like hanging out and kind of like waving to the camera. That's kind of like how the end credits work. And then it has this title card at the end. It's just kind of like, hey, thank you for everyone who worked on it and stuff. It was made for friends, and that type of thing, which essentially kind of like makes it immune to criticism, because it's just a bunch of friends making a movie together. But I thought it worked pretty well, and I would definitely recommend it. It's only like a little under an hour.
Okay. And that's season 1, episode 3. spelled out like S01E03, and it was Final Fantasy 11.
Exactly.
Final Fantasy 11.
Okay.
That was the
There
online
you
one.
go. Which that I'm like, I was kind of thinking about that watching the movie. It's like, that would suck. They like all that time you have invested into that game, and then they're just like, well, we're shutting off the servers. Dead. Game's gone.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can only hope that like fan servers pop up, like that's happened to some of those games where the servers get shut down. Like, people will create fan servers that keep the game going, and I think that's the best you could hope for. And that's actually a huge problem right now in video games, is game preservation. A lot of these games are online only games, and what happens when the servers get shut down? These games effectively cease to exist. And I think that's a huge problem, because these are a lot of people consider video games, and myself being one of them, consider video games to be a work of art, and to have something like that just cease to exist, I find to be very troubling.
Yeah. So that's like built into this movie a little bit, and it's, about this like group of friends that met each other in this game. They don't have contact in, real life. They're all across, different parts of the world. And this is where they meet up and kind of hang out. And then now that's gone.
Yeah. I saw Circus of Books. This is a documentary on Netflix. I don't have really too much to say about it. It's directed by Rachel Mason, and it's about her parents who run a bookstore in LA that is also a porn shop, specifically a gay porn shop. So you have these two somewhat conservative, older Jewish parents running this hardcore gay porn shop in LA, and they've run it for years and years. And it's just about the history of the store and how they came to own it, and the current status of the store, because obviously a porn shop like this isn't really sustainable in an era where you can just get as much porn as you want for free.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're thinking about shutting it down, and just kind of follows them around. And it's pretty light, it's pretty breezy, it's well done, it's well produced. So I would give it a light recommend. If you're looking for something entertaining on Netflix to watch, I would say check out Circus of Books.
Okay. All right. The other thing I watched is Feast of the Epiphany. Finally got to check that out.
I know you're really excited about that one too.
Yeah, they're a little bit of a letdown, not too much, but the main thing that was kind of exciting for me in terms of this movie, where I wanted to watch it, is cinematography from Ashley Connor. And cinematography, great, fantastic, love it. The structure of the movie is interesting, and like I admire it. And for the most part, it works. It's just kind of like what's contained in those narratives, quote unquote, just 100% didn't work for me. So the way it starts off is like a group of actors kind of being interviewed for the roles or whatever, and then it's this kind of scripted scene of a dinner party where all these actors are getting together and having a dinner party, right? So the woman kind of setting this up and doing all the cooking and all that stuff, she goes to the market, and where she gets her produce from, at the end of the first scripted scene, this dinner party comes to an end, comes to a close. It shifts and becomes kind of this like slice of life documentary of that farm that she got the produce from. So then it just kind of follows that farm, all the people working on it, and what they do day in, day out, that type of thing. So it's like half scripted drama and then documentary on the back half. And it's okay. It's all right. There's some good moments in there, but I don't know if it's going to have a lasting impression.
That's Feast of the Epiphany. How is that available?
Vimeo on demand.
Vimeo on demand. I like the synopsis here on Letterboxd. It just says 2 narratives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that. It is that. So
nice.
The only other thing I have is Les Misérables, which is currently on Amazon Prime. This is the newest
Mm-hmm.
film with that title.
Yes.
Inspired by the 2005 riots in Paris. And it's really, really, really familiar stuff. Well-worn territory with a new cop showing up, right? From the rural areas, from the country. And now he's in the city, and he's tagging along with these two guys. So it's another one of those, essentially one day, his first day, tagging along, going around, and they're giving him the lay of the land, how they do things. And of course, they don't do things by the book, if you can only imagine, right? They kind of have their own system going here. And they do some questionable things, if you can believe that, them being cops and all. And he's kind of like in this weird place where he's like, these are my superiors. Can't overstep my bounds, but at the same time, he keeps being, kind of tested. And like, what's he gonna do? And you can imagine how it all plays out. It plays out like every movie that's like this, which it feels like there's tons of these, and it's nothing special outside of it being the French version.
Mm-hmm.
But they have an incident, involving a minor. They make a mistake, and then they try and cover it up and all that. And it's just, like I said, it feels pretty much like all those movies that have ever existed. Training Day, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Same beats, same type of thing.
All right. I don't mind that I missed that one then.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, like if you like those movies and you want to see more of those movies, it's a good version of it, right? But I've seen enough of it, and it's nothing new to me.
All right, let's talk about what we have on VOD this week. On the 18th, we have American Trial, the Eric Garner story. This is kind of an interesting one. I don't think it's probably not going to work, but what it is it's a mock trial.
Okay.
That uses, I believe, like real lawyers, real court officials and such, and carries out a trial if the NYPD officer who killed Eric Garner, if he was brought to trial. As we know, he wasn't, but this is like, hypothetically what would happen if this guy was brought to trial. And I think like Eric Garner's family is involved with it as well. Yeah, it says a mock trial with the real players, with the exception of the actor who plays the officer. The film depicts the trial that would have followed Garner's death had Pantaleo been indicted. So, I mean, it's kind of a cool experiment, I guess.
Maybe. Can't say I'm interested, though.
No, I'm not. Then on the 19th, we have Time Warp, the greatest cult films of all time, Volume 2, Horror and Sci-Fi. I talked about this series a couple of weeks ago. It's not great, but it covers a lot of different titles. We have Ovid and the Art of Love. We have Chameleon. And then on the 22nd, we have The Lovebirds on Netflix. That's the comedy with Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be checking that one out. I think we're going to be reviewing that on the show next weekend, actually.
Yeah. Why not?
Hopefully it's funny. We could all use a good laugh.
God, I hope so. Please.
Also on the 22nd, we have Inheritance. I think I'm going to try to cover that one too. That's some kind of horror movie or dark thriller with Lily Collins and Simon Pegg.
Okay.
A patriarch of a wealthy and powerful family suddenly passes away, leaving his wife and daughter with a shocking secret inheritance that threatens to unravel and destroy their lives.
No.
Heyo. Yeah, I'll be checking that out. We have Diana Kennedy, Nothing Fancy. This is a virtual theatrical release documentary. We have Lucky Grandma. That's another virtual theatrical release. We have Villain, Fury Unleashed. Starring Craig Fairbrass.
What? Should I know who that is?
I don't know. I don't know who it is.
The guy's name is Eddie Franks.
We have The Trip to Greece also coming out on the 22nd. This is the fourth and final entry in the Trip series. I enjoy the Trip movies. They're all pretty much the same, but like I'm okay with that. They're just sort of pleasant.
Will they do a Michael Caine impression?
It would be weird if they didn't. I mean, so I saw the trailer for this, and I did not see a Michael Caine impression in the trailer, but you know they got to do it.
They're going to do it.
They're going to do the dueling Caine impressions. Yeah, I'll be checking this out for sure. We also have Joan of Arc. This is a virtual theatrical release. And we have Survive the Night. This is an action movie with Chad Michael Murray and Bruce Willis.
Mm.
Bruce Willis is he has such an interesting career now because he'll still do like bigger movies, but then you see him in these like super under the radar, like kind of VOD trash type movies. It's very strange.
He likes to keep busy.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost at Nicolas Cage level, I would say. Like not quite there yet, but like he's getting there where he's just pretty much doing anything.
He's the boring version of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it honestly feels like they're all the same movies that Bruce Willis is doing. At least Nicolas Cage is doing weird ass shit.
True. Yeah. Yeah. We have Man in Camo, The Art and Artist. We have, and then that looks like that's about it for VOD. On Blu-ray this week, we have Sonic the Hedgehog. That's in 4K. We got Onward. That's the Disney Pixar one. Danger Diabolic from 1968. Yes. This is getting a Shout Factory release. Now I'm very excited about this because I don't know if we've had like a proper Blu-ray release of this movie, and so I'm very excited about it. I don't know what the features, the bonus supplements are looking like for this, but I'm hoping they're good because if they are good, I'm definitely picking that up.
Oh yeah. Justice
League Dark Apocalypse, which is spelled APOKOLIPS.
I think that's wrong.
Apocalypse War. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. This is one of these DC animated movies. I like the Justice League. I like the Justice League Dark series. I think it's a cool team. Like Constantine is in there, and Swamp Thing is part of that team. It's kind of so maybe I'll give this a look. The DC animated movies are usually pretty good. Emma is coming out. Brahms, The Boy 2, The Way Back. The Woman from 2011 is coming out on Arrow. If you haven't seen The Woman, give that a look. That's pretty good. It's the Lucky McKee one.
Gotcha.
Buffaloed from earlier this year is coming out. And that's pretty much it. That's all I'm really seeing here. What about Criterion's?
We got one, and that's Dorothy Arzner's Dance Girl Dance from 1940. Pretty much no special features here, but I think this is mostly just the fact that Arzner's movies are available now. She was the sole woman as a director in the Hollywood studio system during the 30s and 40s. So, and also, if you have a Criterion channel, like a large number of her films are on there. So I don't know if this is like the first of many to come or what, but there you have it.
All right, cool. I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.